So just hopping into at least the job costing portion as well. I know we spoke on this a little bit earlier with talking about integrated solutions. Um, job cost is probably one of the uh, most important um, issues that might be coming up most recently with a lot of construction companies, and that has to do with that disconnect that we've been talking about. Where you have a separate system, whether it's paper time cards or some other digital time clock that you're utilizing, and then pushing that into payroll. It's important to have something that's industry specific so that you can track it down as granularly as you'd like to. So that means per cost code per project. Um, Even sub projects, tracking those down and then feeding those into the system, and then tracking your actuals versus the budget, and then actually having a dashboard where you can see that. It's not just a mess of data everywhere. It's not in some Excel spreadsheet where you're still having to do calculations. Having a system that can do calculations for you, and then seeing a clear dashboard where you can actually see how many hours were allocated to this particular cost code. How many hours are actually used on this cost code, how much is it over budget by, and then having a even more granular breakdown of how many hours of that was regular time, how many of that was overtime, and then how much was double overtime. Things like that are super important. And then being able to work with a modern platform, and then after payroll is processed, being able to push that over to a system like Acumatica, so you can get that full scope of your job costs. When it's materials, all the other expenses added in is super important on that side of it.
And the aspects for the employee experience, whether they're in the field or in the back office, working with a web-based application, taking advantage of all the features browsers provide of multiple tabs. As Mary can attest, my screen gets a little busy sometimes with multiple tabs and pieces that allow you to look at things as if we're back to those piles of paper around our desk in an environment where that's also shared and available to those folks who have the appropriate permission to see those things.
Correct. And then I did mention before, but I mean, labor's the biggest variable cost. It's oftentimes the one factor that puts something way over budget or way under budget. So when you have control over that and you're not having to wait until it's too late to make any changes or make important decisions per project, that's going to allow you to have more control over those. And then, as everyone's goal is stay under budget or as close to the budget as possible when the time comes. And, maybe there's some last minute changes. You're able to then develop a plan because you actually understood in the past where you went wrong, what you can change, and then how that's going to affect everything afterwards. So not only is you're allowed to see that data before it's too late, it's also allowing you to make those better decisions in a faster period of time, right? So if you have more granular data, you're getting it before it's too late. That's going to allow you to make those decisions to change it for the long run, not only for that project, but moving forward. That's going to allow you to see where your mistakes went, exactly where they went wrong on that previous project. It's going to limit those in those projects to come. In the long term, that's the real strength of it as well.
And Noah, you introduced the concept and point around dashboards and the ability of solutions like Acumatica and Lumber to have actionable dashboards, the ability for that end user to configure those solutions in an Acumatica or otherwise to focus on the factors that are most important to them and the direction and structure them to be something actionable versus just data. We're all striving to move up what we describe as that information staircase of data to information to knowledge to wisdom. Never quite reached that point. And taking that granular data and the ability in conjunction with that to summarize that to a point where folks can make the kind of decisions they want to make, an informed decision, as opposed to a stab in the dark, as you described earlier.
Exactly. And then also on these modern platforms, I mean, you have multiple dashboards and they're configured towards you. So not only is it taking that big Excel sheet with all the numbers, all your job costing, all the financials within there, It's actually breaking it up for specific things that you need. It's using those numbers, doing those calculations for you, so that you can make those informed decisions. You're not wasting time looking at that Excel sheet or all that data, trying to make up your mind on what you need to calculate this and so forth. Um, and that's the biggest part of it. Not only the ease of use to be able to look over those things, but also have it specific to uh, the company that you're working for or specific to your industry. That's the biggest part, and especially in construction. I mean, I'm sure Joel and Mary, you especially with your experience and being with multiple companies out there, and Joel, just you with your history of working with all these companies, none of them are the same at all. They can be
No.
in the same industry. You could speak to an electrician in one county, go not even a county over, just speak to another electrician in the area. Completely different processes. The way that they track time is different. Um, the jobs that they do are different. Some of them only work on prevailing wage jobs, and they're non-union. The other one is fully union. So they have different things that they need to work out with. And then on top of that, the people at those companies, the ones that are looking at these dashboards, making those decisions, they have different preferences. Not everybody likes the look of one software. They want to be able to pull the most efficient data to them, the most important data, and have that right in front of them. And some people might prioritize one thing over another. So it's important to have a system that's not only configurable, but especially configurable to match preferences for each person at the company, not just the company and the industry as a whole. So getting more granular like that is always super important as well.
Yeah, and with these integrations, the access to the information, it becomes company-wide. You don't just have a few people that have access to the ERP and the job costs. Employees can log in anytime, anywhere. Field team members have mobile access to project data, the timesheets, their project information. You can manage all aspects of your accounting and document management in a central area and have that consistent experience for all of your users, regardless of where they are and how they're accessing the system, whether they're sitting at a desk in your office or they're sitting in their truck on a job site. Instead of having important documents that are saved locally on somebody's iPad, on somebody's laptop, on the floor of their F-150, and again, only, a line up in the accounting office. I need a report for this. I need a report for that. Everybody has access to that project information from a single source from anywhere at any time. And that is key, and getting everybody involved and, having that accountability, because as we know with construction, your labor conditions can change at any moment. It could be weather related. It could be delays from another trade. It could be, okay, the architect, and the owner decide they don't like that color and they want to switch everything out. So I've always said, I'm amazed that these buildings ever get built when you're on the inside and seeing what goes on, what you have, all the elements that go into a successful project. It's a lot. It's a lot of people, and, being as efficient as you can possibly be to be able to move with those changes and adapt to those changes is critical. And you can't do that if you're spending 3 days looking at timesheets and asking Bob if he clocked in on Wednesday or if he was off,
Definitely. And then you brought up a great point as far as having all that data within within one place. And when we talk about, cloud solutions, especially on the ERP side, Acumatica is the first one to come to mind.